Hello! Today we are going to talk about purchasing's profit leverage effect. As a supply manager, you need to speak the language of finance. Why? The answer is simple. Finance is the language of business. Finance managers hold your organization's purse strings. If you want to make a difference, sooner or later you are going to need to convince a finance manager to invest in one of your pet projects. To increase your odds of success, you should invest in a little financial intelligence. After all, getting along with the finance people in your organization is really quite easy if you speak their language. You simply need to know what motivates them. Whenever you ask for resources to support a major initiative, somebody from finance is going to ask, how is your project going to affect the bottom line? From time to time, you will hear this idea expressed as follows. What is your project's P&L impact? To answer this question, you need to know how the income statement works. By the way, income statement is also known as a P&L or profit and loss statement. A simple sample income statement looks something like this. Sales equal $100, cost of goods sold are $50. That leaves a gross profit of $50. If operating expenses are $30, your operating income is equal to $20. As a manager, you have three primary levers to improve the bottom line. First, you can improve the top line. That is, you can do something that increases sales. Second, you can reduce the cost of the products and services your company provides. That is, you can reduce COGS. Third, you can cut operating costs. Of course, you can do all three at once. However, it is often more difficult and takes longer to increase sales or reduce COGS. That is why companies resort to reducing headcount when they run into financial headwinds. Reducing operating costs is the fastest way to have a short-term impact on the bottom line. With this in mind, let's talk about purchasing's profit leverage effect. One way you can help finance managers see the value, that is the competitive importance of purchasing, is to discuss the fact that every dollar saved by purchasing goes straight to the bottom line. Let's look at some numbers. Consider the following simplified income statement. Some basic cost analysis reveals that materials are 80% of cost of goods sold. So, our question is, how would an 8% reduction in the cost of purchased goods impact operating profit? Let's run the numbers. First, we need to figure out how much money is being spent on purchased goods and services. The current cost of purchases is equal to $42,428,000 times 0.8 or $33.942 million. If some combination of better supplier relationships, collaborative product development, and global sourcing delivered an 8% reduction in cost of purchased goods, you would save $2.715 million. Let's see how that affects the bottom line. If we reduce the cost of purchases, our COGS decreases to $39.713 million, or 47.2% of sales. Operating income goes up by the same amount to $17,504,000, or 20.8% of sales. In other words, an 8% reduction in the cost of purchased goods delivers an 18.4% increase in profits. That's not bad. For comparison purposes, let's take a look at what your colleagues over in marketing would need to do to achieve a comparable increase in profits. That is, how much more would marketing need to sell? Let's take a look at the numbers. To generate $2,715,000 in additional profits, marketing needs to sell an additional $15,454,000 worth of product and services. We calculate this by dividing the needed additional profits of $2,715,000 by the operating profit margin of 17.6%. The result is $15,454,000 of new sales, or the equivalent of increasing sales by 18.4%. So ask yourself, which is easier, increase sales by 18.4% or decrease cost of purchases by 8%. For most companies, that large of a jump in sales represents a Herculean challenge, at least in the short run. By contrast, reducing the cost of purchases by 8% is often quite doable, especially for companies that have not historically managed purchasing as a strategic function. The critical point: every dollar saved by astute purchasing practice goes straight to the bottom line. By contrast, only 17.6 cents of every additional sales dollar makes it to the bottom line. The rest is consumed by the costs of doing business. Since purchased goods are often the single largest cost of doing business, purchasing can exert more leverage in the quest for higher profits than counterpart functions. The bottom line: outstanding purchasing practice matters. As a purchasing professional, you can make a real competitive difference. Final thought: don't forget, a company's cost structure is going to influence the numbers, perhaps dramatically. But for most companies, purchasing can be a big-time competitive weapon.